And let's start with you, actually, Danielle.
Right.
What does it mean to you to center community in philanthropy? How is that currently showing up in your work? And what ways might it be deepened in your work?
Yeah, I actually think it's a really important question because I think it's a dialogue that we are engaged in the philanthropic space. Like, what does it really mean to center, community in our day-to-day practice? I will say it has become a term of art, and we are really exploring how it concretely relates to our day-to-day practice. So I'll say, give the example of centering community in terms of inviting folks into meetings and saying, okay, we're gonna listen to community and use that listening process to inform our direction. That's nice, but that to me is not necessarily what it truly means to center community. To me, and I think for all of us on this panel, I think that what we really aspire to, and there's a ways to go, is really investing in ways that build the independent capacity of, in this case, Black leaders in Baltimore to really be the drivers of change. So what that means is that reducing reliance on philanthropic dollars, investing in community-based enterprise, investing in ways that actually take us eventually out of the job, right? So, I always think about not just ways of centering community in that way, but also centering the highest and best interests of communities, which means that we reduce or remove that pattern of dependence. So that's where I will actually start, and I'll pass it along to.
There's so many innovative approaches to philanthropic practices that kind of speak to what you were saying, Alysia. Like, they kind of reframe the way people consider or conventionally consider philanthropy. Can we talk about the mechanics of those practices a little bit, right? So what does it specifically look like to do some of the things you all are saying? Like, what are some tools and techniques that you all have utilized?
Well, I can throw out, something that BCYF is invested in is, of course, turning the decision-making power over grant-making over to the community. So I also, in my career, have led a grassroots organization and, led it up to a national level. And so I know what that's like to need money and also need to be able to do the work, and that there's a few gatekeepers who really kind of keep you from the resources that you need. Those people usually don't live in your community. They don't really know what you're about. And so there's a lot of frustration there. And so we've been really excited for the Grassroots Fund that we just dispatched in FY22. We were able to bring on a panel of 18 community members who we, did some learning about our frameworks around racial equity and some of the liberatory practices that we're trying to bring in. And then they made all the decisions about which of their colleagues and friends and neighbors work deserved to be funded based off of our priorities. So I think that's exciting because in my experience, when I was raising funds, it really was like, I have to be doing this great work, but then I also have to make friends with the 8 people who run all of the philanthropy in my city that can give me the money I need to get my work done, right? So that takes all of that out. I don't have to like you or be your friend because you're getting money from us. I don't have to know about your work. It's not me. It's the community saying and endorsing this work is valuable. And then we're here as the staff of BCYF, not to make those decisions, but then to help support the organizations to help you elevate your work while you're with us, right? So we're working in partnership with you. And that's been really exciting to consider how much we'll learn from the community by bringing these top great folks and their organizations in, and the ways that our practices will shift also by all the knowledge they'll bring to us. So that's one thing that we've been doing.
Love it. Relationships. We're talking about really complex strategies, complex work, partnerships. But at the basis of all of this work is really just relationship building, right? So how are you building and sustaining relationships with community partners who receive funding, but even prospective community partners who haven't yet received funding, right? What does that look like for you specifically in your work?
So a couple things. So we have about 250 philanthropy partners, but we have about 5,000 official community relationships. And so for us, we don't we just look at philanthropy as one lever of a variety of levers that we have that we can use in a partnership with you that you're leading, right? And so for us, listen, I know I am not funny, and and I am not as smart as people. People will laugh at all my jokes. I know I'm not that funny, right? And it's because I'm in this role. So part of what I have to do is break that down. I remember when I first started at T-Rowe, 2 weeks in, a really well-known community leader in the city, seeing a new philanthropy leader is like seeing a unicorn. Like, it doesn't happen that much. And so this leader wanted to meet this new person leading a philanthropy. And so we have, naively said, hey, come to T-Rowe, we'll meet in our offices. And immediately, just after saying, hey, I'm John, hey, I'm who you are, pulled out all these charts and graphs and said, look at the arrows going up. Am I good enough for investment? Like that to me, being new in philanthropy, was just shocking that that's what was happening. And so for me, I had to say, those are great, but I care about you. Like let's talk about, I needed to develop a relationship with her. I was a former community organizer, and I know in organizing, it's all the power of one-on-ones. And so that was important to me. Funding could come at some point. That actually didn't, that was secondary or third or even 100th down the line. What was important to me is that I wanted to know who she was, because she was an expert in her community about the work that she was doing, and that was valuable to me. Once that's established, then we could figure out a lot of ways that we can work together. And so we wear our shoe leather out, thousands of meetings, and as Danielle said, that's our job, right? Our job is not to sit on a hill and say, come and talk to me, laugh at my jokes, think I'm smart. It's the opposite. My job is to get out in community, because that is important, and not in a community listening way. When you hear a philanthropy say, I want to do a listening tour, run. That is a bad idea, right? Our job is to all the times have our ears up and develop relationship based on that idea that you have power, you are important, and I need to be in relationship with you so that we can work together to a place where you're leading me.